And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great conversation that we're going to have today. We're going to talk about the ridiculousness of impeachment of President Trump. And we also going to take a look at Jasmine No Brain Crockett, who continues to make a fool out of herself, acting as if she knows what she's talking about with immigrations, but don't. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends, let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Y'all come on in. Welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David Lowery, and I want to welcome everybody to the show. Let's get it in. First, I want to give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Yahshua of Nazareth, for making it possible for me to be here, and I want to welcome all of you guys to the show. Folks, I don't know. I do not understand what's wrong with the Democratic Party. As we continue to see them self-destruct, but the hatred that they have to the president and to this country. See, I have a problem with what's going on today because nobody was saying nothing in the last 4 years when we was dealing with the immigration problem. We was dealing with COVID. We was dealing with the Democrats lying and cheating and stealing. And now that they've got caught, opposed to worrying about the well-being of this country, they continue to attack Trump and say he is not doing a good job. But the polls do not lie. Well, except if you're taking a poll from CNN or MSNBC or all the rest of the local channels. They want to try to trick the American people and make them think that the numbers are down, but they are not. This is a travesty of justice, and the most saddest thing of all, Black people who we don't have nothing. We don't own nothing but problems, and yet we're supporting the stupidness of the Democrats like Jasmine Crockett and Al Green, who continue to lie, cheat, and steal because they've got caught by the Doge investigation. So, folks, in saying that, we got a great show. I'm going to bring my co-host in. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
And also, I'm going to bring my another co-host in. We got a great panel. Mr. Andre Barnes, how you doing, brother?
Doing well.
Man, guys, you know what? We're on our way.
Yes, we are.
We have to really stay informative. And that's what I say about our show, is that we're giving the American people what they need, the truth about what's happening in our country today. And so we have to really stay focused. We're on Roku. We're finally getting things uploaded, folks. If you want to go and take a look at our Roku channel, you can go to search when you get to your home on Roku and put in Let the Truth Be Told, and it'll come up. Download the app so you can watch some of our previous shows and stay informed on what's going on. Now, I want to say this. As you know, there was a political Democrat named Al Green, not the singer, but the clown that they kicked out of the inauguration speech, I believe, that President Trump made. And so this guy who has been in office for probably 20 or 30 years and have never spoken out against the evils that has been happening to the Black community. But just as soon as Trump got into office, now they're looking for ways to impeach him. And I think it's ridiculous. He's only been in probably about 105 or 10 days. The man has made leaps and bounds. And to the American people and patriots across this country, we've seen the action that he's taken, and he's done everything that he said he was going to do to make this country great again. And in saying that, Doc, what are your thoughts on this Al Green guy?
Well, he's been around for quite a while, obviously half my lifetime, right? Because I'm in my 50s. And so it's just, it's sad that he's been in Congress this long, and he's really only known for the outlandish things that he's done, but he's not really known for things to move the needle in the Black community, as you stated. He's also a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. But again, what has really been done to assist the Black community? You can look at these Democratic cities and they look like war zones.
Yes.
But yet they continue to say, vote for me. I don't understand why we continue to stay on this Democratic plantation if no one's really going to do their job to make a difference. I haven't seen it. I think these articles of impeachment are just a waste of time because they have nothing else. They literally have nothing else. They are trying to impeach Donald Trump because he's trying to remove an illegal person who was twice convicted by different judges and deported twice. Let's keep that real, right? 2 different judges said you need to leave our country, and he came back the first time. It was 2016. He came back in 2019, which had already been deported, harming people, and yet the Democratic Party is supporting this person and saying he should not be deported, that he was wrongfully deported when it was administrative, right? Even then, he still needs to be deported. That doesn't change the outcome just because it might have been technically done on paperwork the wrong way. I don't understand why they want to die on this hill.
Your thoughts, Dre?
Well, I'd like to start with an ethical framework because, like Dr. Nichols is saying, they haven't done anything for the Black community, and they have stuck their neck out for illegal immigrants and undocumented people. And what have they done for our community? I want to give you guys a quote from Senator Eugene McCarthy. He said, "The moral priority for the United States has remained that of addressing the descendants of 2 centuries of American slavery and another century of racial apartheid who remain in the underclass." So we're still many Black Americans in the underclass. He goes on to say, "Large-scale immigration was interfering with meeting Black Americans' needs, and those needs have priority over the desire of people in other countries to move here." So why are we putting every other country, every other immigrant's need or desire to move here to the United States above the needs of Black Americans? We have a crime issue in Chicago that's not being addressed because we decided to spend over $800 million on illegal immigrants.
Yes.
We have an education problem in the United States. But now what we've done, we brought a whole bunch of immigrants to slow down the educational progress of students because they're not where our students are. And by the way, our students still have a problem with reading and mathematics. So we're pushing them further behind. So what about our needs? So I feel like this Congressman Al Green just has not put the needs of Americans first, and they're attacking a president who's starting to address those needs and shake things up, and I think that's a problem.
Well, to the American people and patriots across this country, especially Black Americans, and I said it on a couple of shows, if you want to know if the Black community is progressing, go look at your community. And you will see, ever since 50 years ago, the Black community has not changed, but it has gotten worse. And so when you start talking about these house Negroes with the Black Caucus. What is the Black Caucus? What is their function? What do they do? They're just another organization like the NAACP, the Urban League, and all these organizations who say they want to help Blacks, but are not visible to help the Black community. And we're going to talk about Al Green. When they threw Al Green out of that inauguration, they should have. And it was all a ploy. You would think that all of those Democrats who sat down, didn't say nothing, and held up signs like dummies, but yet and still, they have done nothing. Zero for the Black community. And that's what I'm saying to Black Americans right now. We need to stop voting for the Democrats because they've had an opportunity to do something for and to help the Black community get better, but they have not. Even the Republicans, I'm not saying they're better, but they sit back and watch these things happen. So both parties have not done their job, and their job is to ensure that the American people are well taken care of. And so with this migrant thing that came to Black folks, how can you sit back and vote for any Democratic leader when they're in cahoots with everybody else against the Black community? I'm going to play this clip that we got from Al Green, who are now sitting up in Congress talking about impeaching the president. Y'all check this out.
President, you shall have articles of impeachment presented by Al Green, member of Congress. So he's defying the federal courts. Once you do this, you become a de facto dictator. You reduce the country to a de facto dictatorship. And for this, you must be impeached. The articles will go into many other aspects of this, but for these things, you must be impeached. These articles of impeachment I shall bring. I have said that I would and I will. But I want to give everybody notice right now, take note of this. They will not be the only articles of impeachment because the president has done various things that merit impeachment, and at least I'm going to build a record so that posterity will know how some of us stood during this time of crisis when the president was violating the Constitution.
Guys,
I just
your
lose
thoughts on
brain
this?
cells. I lose brain cells listening to him. Like, what? What are you talking about? The federal courts do not run the country. We didn't vote for the federal courts to run the United States of America. We voted Donald Trump into office, and he did what we asked, which was to deport illegal criminals from this country, which this person is one. This is ridiculous. Like, in my opinion, individuals like Mr. Green should be removed from Congress because you don't know your job. You do not understand your job. Now, if it's a real article of impeachment, guess what? He would have to commit treason. Oh my. Let's see, giving aid and comfort to criminals and allowing them to be in the country. You guys did that a lot. Over 5 million, a lot. Congress.
Well,
that's
Dre?
Impeachment. Okay.
Well, the first thing I want to talk about is the poll numbers. Donald Trump is really doing well with Americans on immigration, and the polling shows that. So I don't understand this impeachment process. I'm also going to question his sincerity because I think he's just posturing now. This is just a raw article of impeachment to get the base riled up. And, you know, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but they don't have the numbers and they know they don't have the numbers. So why even put this out there? It is just taking attention away from your constituents that you're failing right now by continuing to support these open border policies and supporting the courts to push back against Donald Trump. We need to end this.
Well, first of all, he's talking about this gang leader who was known to be MS-13 by 2 courts, and they want to bring him back to the United States. And this is what I'm saying to the American people and patriots across this country. Why would we want illegals in our country in the first place And secondly, why would we want a Mexican cartel like this guy coming back to the United States when most of these illegals who are criminals have committed horrendous crimes against American citizens? So I really don't understand that all of this uproar by Al Green and all the other black legislators that who have been in office for over 20 or 30 years. Why haven't they had an uproar when they brought these illegals in and gave them billions of dollars? If you look at it across our country, billions of dollars have been given to illegal migrants. And just $500 million could clear our country up, make our streets safe, build our infrastructure, create better schools, and actually start teaching our children something. Because most of our children who graduate out of high school can barely read or write.
That's right.
They can't count. They don't know cursive. They don't know anything. But I tell you, this is the handwriting on the wall, especially it should be for the black community, because you got a son or a daughter who graduating and he ain't gonna find no job because he can't count.
Yep.
He can't read.
Right.
They have no critical thinking. And parents need to be in an uproar against the Department of Education and against the political people like Al Green and Jasmine Crockett who are throwing and fanning distractions. Yeah. These are distractions from the truth. Dre?
Well, I want to answer your hypothetical questions. Why are they doing this? Well, it's by design, because they're making money off of this. Like when we open up our borders to the world and they come into our economy, that money that they initially make is around 50 million. All right. But 500 billion leaves the black community and goes to people with capitals. So you're billionaires. So the people that they're saying, the oligarchy, that's where the money goes. And to people that utilize services or labor from immigrants. So your grass mower, like that's benefiting some middle class, upper middle class Americans who don't want to pay an American to do the job or don't want to do the job themselves. So they feel some kind of way when we're talking about limiting immigration, because it doesn't benefit them, the oligarchy, the people that they're pointing at, the billionaires.
Well, Dre, that is so true, because it's so sad that we've allowed these people to be in our country. And the reason why they dummy the children down, see, a lot of black kids now don't understand that if you cut grass, that's $1 million business.
Yep.
Just cutting grass. Yeah. Those simple things like that. But a lot of black folks have their children think, well, that's beneath me. I won't do that.
My gosh.
But you don't have a job. You're still living at home on your mama and daddy. And they're fools because you can't sit. Let me tell you this. 5 kids, grown. Coming up in my house, you were going to follow the rules. You were going to be educated. And I ain't going to take care of you till you're 40 or 50 years old. So they had to understand, I need my education. I need to have morals and scruples. I need to have integrity. If you're going to live in my house, you're going to be something the same way my parents had 3rd grade education, but yet and still they pushed us and they gave us all the tools that we needed to be successful. Right. So that's what the real problem is. It's the problem that our children do not understand this society. They have not been taught how to deal in this society. They don't know nothing about entrepreneurship. And believe me, it's showing. Every day it is showing. Doc, your thoughts?
Yeah, the prison pipeline is real, just to what you and Dre were talking about. It's like you are purposely uneducating humans. And then you want to turn around and blame them when they fall into criminal behavior, when that's all they're really learning on the back end when they leave school. And, then you bring in other individuals to replace them, give them businesses in that same community. So you're siphoning off of the Black community doing that, leeching. Then you want to turn around and tell the Black community, why haven't you built yourselves up? Why can't you be a better community? Why? Well, we can't, because you've purposely dismantled us. And that's why it is a constant cry for people to run for office that want to turn this around, truly turn it around, right? And get that sickness out of our community. Yes, I don't want other individuals in our community. A lot of people, well, that's racist. No, it's not. Your community should reflect the people that live there. And if the people that live there don't own any businesses, that's a problem. And it
Trey?
needs to fix. It needs to be fixed. I'm just saying.
Your thoughts, Trey?
Absolutely. And I think another thing, I agree with everything Dr. Nichols just said. I agree with what you're saying, Pastor Laurie. I think another thing that we need to fix in our community is discipline.
Yes.
We have a discipline problem with our children, and it's showing. And the media does a good job of showing bad discipline, bad behavior of Black people. And even Black people themselves start to distrust their own people to do the work. I was driving with an Uber driver, and she was talking to me about what Trump was doing with immigrants, and it was bad. But she said, you know, if you bring an immigrant to work, they're going to do the job, and you're not going to have to check behind them. And I was just like, man, but what she was saying was not completely wrong, because we haven't taught our children how to work. And it's created this stereotype of American workers that we're going to have to fix. And there are ways that we can fix it. But if people have already given up, just clean their hands of the Black community, then we're going to continue to be in this space. There's organizations that have the mechanism already. And I hope that the Trump administration is open to hearing from these organizations that have pipelines for students in high school to be successful in college, to go to internships, and then from the internships, be ready day one to work. So we have pipelines created of organizations that are ready to put people to work. We just need to put them there. We need discipline. We need to change the narrative about American workers.
Well, you know, a lot of Black folks, they get caught up with the idea of hating Trump. They're not even looking at the fact that what he has already done to remove a lot of the immigrants out of our community. And to the Black Americans watching this show, how is it that you could sit back and hate Trump, but yet we've had all these Black politicians in office for well over 50 years now? And there's nothing has changed. There should be, and I said this before, there should be nobody else in the Black community except Black people. There should be nobody in the stores like the Arabs and the gas stations and all of that. They shouldn't be in our community. Those stations should be owned by other Black people so that the Black dollar can stay in the community. Even in our schools, it's the same way. Y'all, Black folks, y'all can't sit around here and say, your son, little Johnny, is smart. The only way you say your little son and daughter is smart is if you see them twerking on the internet. Then you think that's smart. So the level of intelligence in the Black community is not like it used to be. Not only the intelligence in the Black community, but the love and respect for other Black people. That's the real problem. And that goes to say the reason why that we're in this condition is the Black leadership. And I keep saying that the Black leaders have not done anything to promote economic wealth in the Black community. They're getting these six-figure salaries. They're sitting around trying to figure out other ways how they can keep filling their pockets. And that's why, as an independent, I hate Democrats. I hate them because they have no good for the Black community. Because if the Democratic Party was going to help uplift the Black community, we would already be uplifted right now. We wouldn't be sitting around here with crime rates, everybody in our community getting rich, and now you bring the migrants in. And the reason why they're doing this is because the Black people don't own their own community.
Right.
We don't own it. And that's why everybody from every other country come into our community. The Black folks, y'all know I'm not lying. Go down to the corner store and you see Habib in there. The store stinking. They selling goods that ain't no good. They selling everything that they can sell you to make $1 off you. Then the dollar leaves the Black community. As soon as it leaves your hand, you put it in theirs, it is not coming back to the Black community. No. So we should be more self-sufficient. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Look at all our black politicians. You would think that every black politician, every black athlete, every black professional, if you love the black community, if you invested into the black community, then we wouldn't be in this condition. But we got all these rich black folks ain't doing nothing for the black community, but pointing their fingers and saying, oh, well, you know, it's crime here. It's this and that. Well, if you do your job and you make a reinvestment into the black community, just like the whites do, just like the Hispanics do, just like the Italians, they invest back into their communities. And this is something that black people are not doing, but complaining. And yet when they have an opportunity, like we have now with President Trump, we have an opportunity to take our country back and our communities back. We should be trying to fulfill everything that we can do to rebuild the black community. Dre, you sent me a clip, and I want to play this because the ignorance, the total ignorance of black politicians. And I'm saying it because the ignorance that we were seeing out of this Jasmine Crockett in Texas, in her area that she represents, it's riddled with crime, it's riddled with migrants, it is riddled with lack of economics. Everything in her area is on the downside. There's nothing positive in her community that she says she was going to do other than build herself up. And she's done that over 18 months. She's worth probably over $10 million or $15 million or whatever the money that she stole. And none of that money have been put back into the black community. I'm going to play this clip that you sent me, Dre. Check this out, folks.
President Trump says his administration's latest self-deportation policy will allow some migrants a potential path back to the U.S. DHS also says it will pay an additional $1,000 to people who verify that they have left the U.S., people in this country illegally, who have left the U.S. and returned to their home country. I want you to listen to what White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said about this a few days ago.
A single illegal alien family over the course of its lifetime may cost U.S. taxpayers over $1 million. So when you give an illegal immigrant a check for, say, $1,000 or $2,000, whatever it may be, $3,000 to leave the country, you're saving taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. It also saves money relative to us having to go out and find that illegal alien and physically arrest them and deport them.
You represent a border state. Obviously, there are a lot of undocumented migrants in Texas. What do you make of this? Would you advise any undocumented individual who comes to you that maybe they should take the money and go back to their home country? What's your take on it all?
I wouldn't trust this administration for anything. First of all, they are terrible about paying their bills, number one. Number two, most of those people that have come over, regardless of what this administration said, they came over because they were fleeing things such as the fact that they don't have the opportunity to work and earn a living, or they're fleeing political violence. And so what is it that?
I want to stop that right there, guys. Your thoughts on what she just said, why they're fleeing to America, Doc?
Well, that's a lie. Now, I know that they do want opportunities, but that does not give you the right to come into the United States. Okay. People were saying they were refugees and that they were seeking asylum. And they should still not have come here because they're supposed to go to their closest neighboring country, right? If they are in a war-torn situation, which causes people to be refugees seeking asylum. You're not an asylum seeker because you're, trying to get away from political persecution. No, that would be like somebody coming up to me and is like, I hate you because you're a Democrat, and then I want to move to Spain and demand that they let me in. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but that's what people did. And what she's saying is a complete joke. I know that people want a better life to come here, but that does not give them the right to come here. There's no basis for that. There's no political motivate. There's no trigger for it. That does not fall under asylum. That does not fall under being a refugee because you want a better life and a better job. No, you do it the right way. You don't do it illegally.
Dre?
She really should not be advising anyone.
Right.
She's not an immigration expert. People coming here because they're seeking work or coming here for political unrest, that is not the United States problem. We have a process to deal with refugees and asylum seekers, and if they go through the proper channels, great. We'll process you. If the line's too long, sometimes people have to leave the line if the lines are long. You give up and you go to another country and you go through the same process. But for them to say that they're coming here for those reasons and we're normalizing those reasons and putting those reasons on a pedestal while we ignore Black American issues is a problem to me. And any politician that's not interested in moderating immigration is not serious about helping American citizens.
Well, you know, this is the thing that I say. You have to take care of home first.
That's right.
If you were going to invite, because that's what the Democrats did. You know, when we did the show with Ben Bergquam, we saw how all the NGOs, the Catholic Charities and the Red Cross, they were actually giving these people, before they crossed the border, they was giving them food, clothes, phones, money. They was giving advice. Them everything and how to avoid ICE, you know, different routes to take. Because see, this is why I say
and they sent buses. It got so bad because they were going through the through Panama, and it got so bad through this gap, the Panama Gap, or it's some kind of gap. But they sent buses out to get them.
Yeah,
they sent buses, and this is taxpayer dollars being used to send buses to bus people into the United States and use up more services that belong to Americans.
Yeah, and then they flew people in too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, well, you know, we was talking about the child. Byron Donaldson was talking about the child trafficking the other day on the show, and how he saw all of these kids being taken in busloads and disappear. Well, we need to have something that's set up for treason. See, Barack Obama, George Bush, and Bill Clinton hired a private plane company, and 385,000 children are missing right now that was flown across the border that we don't even know where they were at.
What?
Now, see, those are the type of things that the American people should be looking at. We shouldn't be looking at the stupid stuff like an Al Green talking about impeaching somebody when he's been in Congress or wherever he's been for years and have not done one thing for the Black community. But the most saddest thing is this. We got the Democrats steady running around talking about, well, you know, we need to get this, we need to get the numbers. They can't even explain why they're letting illegals come over here. Why would you break federal laws to help illegals and you won't even help your own people? I'm going to finish this piece about this this clown, Jasmine Crocker, because that's what she looks like. She's done nothing for nobody but herself, and now she's looking like a made-up fool. Y'all, I don't feel good about these Black politicians who continue to act as if though everything is okay in the Black community. The Black community is suffering like hell, and you got these type of Negroes getting all over the news talking about somebody that's trying to keep illegals out of our country.
$1 if you're going back to a place where you may lose your life. They risk their lives, many of them coming over here in the first place. That's number one. Number two, I want to see some numbers. Where in the heck did you just pull this number out of your back pocket saying that they're costing us approximately $100 million? I'm sorry, not $100 million, $1 million for each undocumented person. The only numbers that we have show that we receive approximately $100 billion in tax revenue from undocumented people, so much so that they decided that they want to go to the IRS and get the IRS to help them as they go and seek these people. You know why? Because they've been working and they've been doing the jobs that now they want to roll back child labor protections and make sure that poor children are the ones that are doing those jobs, because now we're going to have those vacancies, if we're going to have jobs left at all, as we continue to endure the grind of this failed experiment around this tariff war.
You had it there.
All right, good. I was ready. I couldn't wait till she finished. Go ahead, Dre.
So the numbers that she is citing, well, first of all, she didn't talk about where she got those numbers. That's number one. Okay. I did some research, and the Tax Policy Center is listing that as a number. But the Tax Policy Center is an advocacy organization. None of their numbers are tied to the IRS, and it is a hypothetical number. So it's not something that she should just be throwing out there. It's not anything that's been agreed upon. It's not a fact. It is false information. And for her to kind of put that out is misleading. And I don't feel comfortable with those numbers at all. If people want real numbers, they can go to numbersusa.com, and we don't provide fake numbers. We have all the experts, and we fact check our information and make sure we have cited sources so that you know where this information came from. Where did this information come from, and who told her she was an immigration expert?
Doc?
Right. Yeah, I think it's just really sad, especially what she was saying about, when these jobs, when they take these immigrants back, who's going to work these jobs? American citizens. The same American citizens that you keep saying are lazy and don't want to work. Yeah, those individuals who actually do want to work, those individuals who should be working. I wouldn't say who should be, but, at a high school level, they do work at fast food restaurants to get that initial work experience and garner that, just the way I did when I was growing up. But it's difficult for them too, because they've been given to people who don't even speak English, because the manager will only hire people that don't speak English. Like I've seen it happen in California. I see it happening here in Georgia. It's happening all over the country, but yet the Democratic Party doesn't want to acknowledge it, but they want to call teenagers lazy. They want to say, why aren't you working? Where you're giving all of the resources to people that don't belong here, while telling the people that are here, we can't give it to you. We can't help you out. It's sick and it's sad. And I want to see her voted out of office. She does not need to go back to Congress. 2026 referendum, it's no go.
Well, and I keep referring back to when we were growing up, because when we were growing up, there was different type of jobs programs. Like when I was in the 8th grade, they had the Chicago youth organizations. Those organizations got us together. They started teaching us and putting us in teams, and we would go to the schools and we would clean up around the schools. We would get a paycheck for that. These programs that used to be in place that could help our children have a good work ethic, because that did it for me, because even though my parents was pushing me, when I got the job with CYO, I was able to intermingle with other young people. We were able to form teams, and this was so important for me because it gave me structure. Right. It gave me structure where I knew what type of work I wanted to do. I knew I was going to get a paycheck from the work, and I knew the work was benefiting not only me, but my community. So when you talking about our young people, they need these type of jobs programs to make them ready for the world. So what she's talking about is totally ludicrous, because she's saying, well, these poor people, they're so poor and they're coming here and they need the job. But what about our children? See, if the Black politicians did what they were supposed to do, then the crime in the Black community would not be at the situation that it is. Because when I'm out there in the streets and I'm talking to young people and I'm talking to them about trying to get their lives together, the first thing that they say is, Pastor, can you help me find a job?
Right.
They want to work, but there's nothing to teach them. They feel like, well, I have no experience. I don't know how to do nothing. Well, this is the reason why we elected these Black officials, is so that they can create these type of scenarios so our children can get some training. Right. They have no training. They have nobody to care about them. And so when you see this type of attitude from this woman talking about helping other people and not even helping Black people in their own constituents, man, it's totally ridiculous. I'm going to play a little bit more of this.
Ask you, the U.S. Department of Education says it's going to restart collecting federal student loans in default starting today. This impacts about 5 million Americans. You've been outspoken against this. And I know, look, COVID, inflation, and now tariffs and uncertainty on the stock market. It's a tough time for a lot of people out there. But what do you say to critics who say, look, I paid off my student loans. Why can't these people pay off theirs?
Listen, everyone kind of encounters a different set of circumstances. I remember when I came out of undergrad and it was a decision about whether or not to go to law school or to go to grad school at all. And one of the reasons that actually propelled me into saying, yes, I will absolutely go, is because the economy was so bad that I wouldn't be able to get a job and actually start paying those loans back. So I decided to, go get more education and hopefully come out in 3 years to a better market and have enough education to be able to actually pay these bills. Listen, we all have different sets of circumstances, whether it's life that's happening, whether you're taking care of your parents or whether you're taking care of children. But the reality is that we consistently offer breaks to those that are paying out multi-billion-dollar bonuses, whether it's in the banking industry, whether it's in the auto industry. We continue to offer those kind of bailouts. But when it comes to the everyday working person, the person that is going to feel these failed tariffs policies the most, as they are doing a historic amount of firings in our federal government, which means that it's not just going to impact those that are being.
Okay. All right. Now, I got to stop it for a minute myself.
Okay.
See, this is why I say this is asinine. Because Black people, when they start talking about the student loans, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, all they did was play with you to make you think that you were going to get your student loan canceled. To the college students who rode with the Democrats, who kept feeding you this line, well, y'all just stick with us. We're going to file a lawsuit so that we can have all your debt thrown away. You won't have to pay. And all they did was pause it long enough to get your vote. When they got your vote, every lawsuit and everything that they did was found illegal, and that these student loans got to be paid back. That's just the bottom line. But yet and still, you hear a Black politician sitting up here talking about it is wrong to pay the student loans back. Well, as y'all know, what she said herself, that she got her job not because she was smart or because she had the proper paperwork. She got her job because she was DEI and was Black. Doc?
Yeah, well, I am glad that under the Biden administration, they were able to help people who got junk diplomas, and that's what I'll call them, that were attached to schools that were defrauding individuals, right? So some of those people did get assistance, and that was in the pipeline to do, right? When they totally revamped. So that was there, but they do have programs to help people get on a payment schedule. And this is what they don't mention, because I myself have student loans that I'm still paying. So there are ways to pay down your student loan debt. But again, they're trying to fear monger to get people to think like, I can't pay them. And maybe Trump does need to step in. Like if somebody has student loans that are $20,000 and now they're $60,000 because the interest is compounding daily, it's like, no. There should be a cap on how much needs to be paid back. Because that makes it a loan shark loan, right? That doesn't make it sustainable, and you keep people in perpetual debt. But that needs to be looked at. But we also need to look at these colleges charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for these degrees. Like, are you going to be able to get a job after you get this degree? So, we are living in perpetual debt. Right. But there needs to be a way out of it. And like I said, I do think lowering the interest rate and capping it and capping how much should be paid back. So if you get a $3,000 loan, you should not be paying back $10,000. Right. True. You should be paying back $3,500, $4,000 at the most. Yes. And there should just be a cap on it and be done. And then people can be like, yeah, I can pay this. This is actually manageable. But when it gets to be unmanageable, and I've been there. One of my loans before my prior loans got put into forbearance, and then it was in another situation, and I had to call and get all these things done, and wrangle it all in. But at the same time, they were charging massive amounts of interest. Right. But I was actually able to get it, consolidated so the interest stopped. But those are things that the government can do to assist so people can get that debt paid down.
Right.
Absolutely. And the education department and the loan system does need to be reviewed. I actually would like to go back to something that she was saying about children. She mentioned that there are going to be rollbacks and regulations, and children are then going to be working the jobs that the immigrants leave. So I am totally against that. And why isn't she concerned about the 200,000 or how many odd children came across the border during the Joe Biden administration that are still missing? They don't know where they are. And some of it is because it became a clerical issue. They did not have the mechanism to deal with children. The DHS wasn't equipped to do that. So now they have this problem, and it is a clerical issue. So they just sent people all these places, and they didn't document everything. So I do believe that that some of the children can be located if they followed the paperwork. But I do think that there are some nefarious things that are happening, and we do need to put systems in place to make sure that children are accounted for if they come across the border.
Well, actually, did Dre? I wanted just to interject. So the unaccompanied minor aliens that they set aside $12 billion for, they know where these children are, and they know exactly where they sent them. But they want us as the American public to think that they don't know where they are. They may not know where they are now, but they know where they were sent initially, because they set the money aside to do it. And this is like going to be the largest criminal investigation that we ever see uncovered in American history. And they're already on it at HHS. They're already on it.
Ladies and gent, listen to this.
Wait, what?
The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. Charlie offered me my job.
You can't make this shit up.
Now, let's talk about that. You say you walked in. First of all, you was talking about how much you did the undergrad work at college, and you were talking about all these things that you did. So if you make a statement like you just made, your college degree did not mean anything. You wasted a bunch of money for nothing, because you got your job not because you were smart, because she said out of her own mouth, I had no experience. You got your job because you was a DEI hire because you was black. Your thoughts on that, guys?
I'll let you take this one first.
Okay. Well, my problem with this is that she purposely said it in an ignorant way, because what she was trying to convey to Charlie is that she had experience working with black people in the community, and that would be beneficial to the company. But the way she put it is that she came in and I'm black and I can help with this, and all that. It means nothing. Now she's a fake. She's a pretender. Like all this, the way she talks, the way she carries herself, she's fake, because she grew up in a very well-to-do family. Her dad was like a pastor, and she ended up going to college at Rhodes University, which is like over $70,000 a year. And then eventually she went to the University of Houston to get her law degree. So she acting like this and pretending like she's just doing things because she's black is just ridiculous. She knows how to conduct herself, and it's a game. It's a game that she's playing, and we'll see if people fall for it in 2026.
Well, let me say this to you. She was correct. She don't know nothing because she's ignorant. If you had some type of education, you would never make a statement like that on the open floor saying, I got my job because I was black. And that's the reason why President Trump ended all of this DEI money. See, you can get unexperienced people. See, the DEI under the Democratic leadership was put in place so that those who are inexperienced, even though you got college degrees and you got all this paper, you still do not have experience. And most people who have that paperwork end up working at a place that they need to be trained. So what was the purpose of spending all that money for college if you was just going to walk in and say, I can get me a job because I'm black? That's a travesty of justice, and that is ignorant for her to say something like that. But check this out. That's why we see her community in the condition that it's in.
Right.
Because of her ignorance. She does not understand what it is to be poor. She doesn't understand what it is to go without food or water or a place to live. She doesn't understand to have a mother and father who are barely making it, who can barely pay the rent. So she's coming off a silver spoon, pointing and saying these things about black folks. Black folks, we need to get her out of office as soon as possible in 2026 and put somebody in office that's going to help. I'm going to play the rest of this clip.
Fired, it's going to impact those restaurants in those areas where those workers would normally go. It's going to impact those grocery stores where they normally shop and the places that they go and buy clothes. So listen, everyone is about to be hurt. Every expert that you talk to, they will tell you that if we are not currently in a recession, we are headed towards one. And this is when you decide that you want to go after people. Frankly, this administration continuously tells us that they love to kick people when they're already down. And I personally believe that if we can do it for the big guys, then we can do it for the little guy.
Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett from the great state of Texas. Thanks so much. Always good to have you here. Appreciate it.
Okay,
well,
guys.
What she's not saying is a lot of that money that's being spent or that was being spent by those people here illegally was federal tax dollars that were given to people because they were given EBT cards and they were given cash aid in the amounts of over $5,000 in some instances and over $11,000 in food stamps. Now, that receipt that I saw was from New York, so it might have looked different from somebody in another state, but still. The average person may get $100 to $200 in food stamps and maybe $300 to $400 in cash aid. So to say that it's a slap in the face to the American people because you were using other people who were using our tax dollars to overinflate the country. It was almost worse than actually printing money because you injected our economy to overinflate our dollar. And now that the dollar is weaker, yeah, it's going to be weaker because these people are leaving. Yeah, there's not going to be as many people shopping at the restaurants because it wasn't built normally. It was overinflated. And now like a balloon, it just popped.
Dre?
I'm full agreement with what you just said, Dr. Noni. Dr. Nichols, I have a question. I'm wondering, the economic experts that she mentioned about the economy, are those the same experts that told her about the $100 billion for undocumented people and the taxes? Like, give me a break. Like, I don't trust her sources at all. And I think we have to get to a point where we need to understand that Americans can fill those roles.
Yes.
The Trump administration, they actually did a raid on a very upscale restaurant. And they didn't go in there, they didn't snatch anybody. They just checked the I-9s. And I think this is going to send a message to the rest of these business owners that have been taking in illegal immigrants.
Right.
The problem that I want to bring up here is that, well, the issue I want to bring up is people were asking, well, you know, why hasn't the Trump administration start raiding the jobs, you know, where these illegal aliens are? And now that he's done it, I think he's going to send a message to the rest of these businesses. And you know, we still need to make sure that we have federally mandated E-Verify, because if the immigrants do not have jobs to go to, if these illegal immigrants don't have a pull factor that they're going to get jobs if they come to the United States and benefits, then they will stop coming. They will stop coming.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people are self-deporting through this.
Yes, they're self-deporting.
Yes.
But you know, what she's saying is this to black folks. First, she's saying that black people, y'all so arrogant. Y'all don't want to work these jobs. Y'all don't want to work as waiters. Y'all don't want to work at these other places that they're working at. So guess what? If black people do take these jobs, they don't want to work for low wages.
That's right.
That's all it is.
But then here you are, you bring your legals in, you giving them $9,000 to $10,000 a month. They'll work these kind of jobs because they got that money to fall back on. So if
Exactly.
you want to be realistically, Miss Crockett, whatever your name is, let us put the money into our young people. Let's give them some money that they can fall back on. So if they're working a minimum wage job, they still got some kind of savings. But what they will be doing is they will be learning a trade. They will be learning structure. So
Right.
when we see these type of people like this talking about the void, well, once we send them back, these jobs are available. Once they send them back, these jobs will be available. Black people do want to work. They don't want to continue to sit around, but the opportunities are not given to them. And that's the reason why you don't see a lot of Black folks doing these jobs, not because they don't want to, but they're not given the opportunity. Your thoughts on it, right?
Yeah, and definitely like the construction worker jobs, right? I remember that was a very large deal in Florida where, you know, they were like, yeah, there's not a lot of construction jobs going on. It's like, yeah, because you don't want to hire people that are American citizens. Just because somebody's Latino doesn't mean they're not American citizen. You don't want to hire Americans. You want to hire people that you can pay under the table so that you get most of the money off of the contracts that you're doing. Let's just keep this 100. You're driving down wages and you're making it more difficult to have a better economy. And we just need to stop doing that. It's bad business and it needs to stop.
Dre?
These immigrant advocacy groups have garnered a lot of power in Congress and in the United States. And when the Baltimore Bridge collapsed after that boat ran into it, my first question was, who are they going to hire to work these jobs? The very next day, the immigrant advocacy groups contacted the Biden administration, and they wrote a letter stating that they should allow more work visas so that these undocumented people can rebuild the bridge. I still don't know how they've worked this out. This is something I have to follow up on, but I hope that Americans build that bridge because Baltimore is 60% Black. So they needed jobs before that bridge collapsed.
Right.
Now this is an opportunity to rebuild some of the lives that have been, you know, lost while this economy has been poor. So,
well, you know what? Let's say it like this. If the Black community, especially when we got all this Black leadership, if the Black community was given the money that the migrants have gotten, we would see our community start to come back.
Yeah.
But as long as we allow illegals to come here, and as long as we allow people who are not Black to be in the Black community, it's going to continue to die. And that's what needs to change. It needs to change. Opportunities for Blacks, Black companies, Black entrepreneurs need to be prevalent in the United States. The same way that they're giving these illegals opportunities, they're giving them money to open businesses in the Black community. They're giving them money to start business, to service the Black community. So why aren't Black people given these opportunities just like you've given the migrants? Because I can tell you this, if the Black leadership would go and get that money, well, let me say this, the Black community would thrive if the Black leadership would take the money that they've gotten to build the Black community and reinvest into it. Then we would see the Black community start to be uplifted. But if you don't bring money back to the community that you're from, and then you add insult to the injury by bringing other people in over the people in the community, then that's what Black people, that's what we got. We got Arabs all over. We got Chinese selling hair. Now we got illegals cutting grass and taking jobs and giving them money. That's why our community is dying. It's because of the Black leadership that is bad. And if the Black community is to survive, we need good leaders who are going to go to bat for Black people, earmark money to help the Black community and not put it in your pockets. Your thoughts, guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely am in agreement with that. You know, and for the longest time, they've had people believing, oh, we're all for you. But when it all shuffles out, Everybody else is still raiding our pockets like leeches.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it like that, but it's true. And, we keep being told, well, if you go to another party or if you go independent, then, you're just not Black. You're not respecting the Black community. It's like, but you're not doing anything for me. So why should I keep voting one way when you're not doing your job?
Dre?
Absolutely. And to add on to that, there was an organization that listed information about taxes. They stated that the first generation doesn't really pay into taxes of undocumented people, but their children, they say they pay more in taxes to cover their taxes and the taxes of the undocumented. So what this organization was trying to say is that the second generation does so much and they do contribute in taxes. But what they didn't realize that they said is that in just one generation, immigrants do so much better than Black Americans. Could you imagine if there was something that we could do for the Black community in one generation that would improve it?
Right.
How much better our lives would be? They come to this country, they get the benefits, they get the education, their parents get housing, they're able to bring in their family members, they support their own communities. We have to advocate for the Black community. And I think this is what these Black leaders are missing. And that any Black leader that's not talking about moderating immigration is not serious about helping the Black community.
Right. Doc, I want your last words. We got to get out of here.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on. And again, I just want to encourage everybody, when you start to see all these things occur, look up for your redemption is drawing near, and definitely check out the Redemption Party at usaredemptionparty.com. We're looking for individuals to be servants of the people, not politicians. And we're also looking for members of the party. So check us out at usaredemptionparty.com.
Doc, go ahead and promote your show because we have our Roku channel now, folks. If you want to go to Roku, go to your search engine when you go to Roku, put in Let the Truth Be Told Networks, and it'll come up. We have shows on there already. We will start broadcasting live. We're putting the schedule together for our television network. So, Doc, tell them a little bit about what you're trying to do in the morning time.
Yes. So I'm on Unfiltered Vision News from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. And so you can catch my show live on X and also on YouTube. And then the full rebroadcast will be on our Roku channel, as Pastor David Lowery said, at Let the Truth Be Told. So Unfiltered Vision News, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern.
Doc, we'll be seeing you soon, sweetie. Have a great day. Dre, it's on you, man. Tell them a little bit about what you were doing on your show and how people can find you.
Yes. And just to wrap up, Jasmine Crockett is not an expert in immigration. If you guys need real numbers, you need to come to Numbers USA. If you want to take action to moderate or restrict immigration, you can join Numbers USA today and contact your elected official. You can educate yourself about how your elected official is voting. Come to Numbers USA and learn more. Myself and Peyton Jackson will be doing a show called Policy, Barnes, and Jackson, the PB&J Hour. And what we're going to do, we're going to address the news of the day. We're going to go over policy. We're going to talk about immigration history. And we're going to talk about what's going on in the Black community as it relates to immigration. 98% of Black female Democrats voted for Kamala Harris, even though the open border policies were not advantageous to their own communities. We have to address those issues. Immigration is a force that we're going to have to deal with for years. We need long-term legislation to protect Black American workers.
Thank you, Dre, and we'll be getting together, brother. Have a great evening. God bless you. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I want to say this. If the Black community is going to rise up out the ashes, we have to have good Black leadership to make a difference. And as we can see, the Black leadership, the Democratic Party, has done nothing to uplift the Black community. They've continued to lie, steal, and cheat and tell Black people, it is your fault that your community is like this, when they're the leadership who should be bringing things to make our community better. And to the American people and patriots across this country, I spoke the other day about how all of us are Americans and how we need to rally around the Black community to make a difference to help it. It is us in the United States that when one of us is hurting, all of us are hurting. So to the American people and patriots across this country, let us band together. Let us seek righteousness. Let us do the right thing. Because if we don't do the right thing, you see what we got. Our country is in turmoil. Every community is torn apart. The Democratic leadership continue to lie. They want to impeach this and impeach that. But when they was in power, they did everything against the Black community. Brought in illegals, gave them money, food, clothing, housing, all of these things. But yet they negated the American citizens. And in saying that, folks, we got out of here. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. And check this out. Let us stand and put God first and be one America and make America great again. God bless you. That's all.